Alhamdulillahi wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So I want to make a bit of a series, and of course this is going to take quite a few videos, but this series is going to be focusing on some of the Salafi strife that has come up between a lot of the people, like the students that are Salafi and that call towards the Salafi madhab, or like the Salafi Aqidah and the manhaj, as they would say. And there are definitely there's some things that need to be addressed when it comes to the students, and also when it comes to some of the people. And this won't be covered in a single video. This will be covered in a series of videos. But the first of these things that I want to talk about is the differences of opinion and understanding differences, and what is the view of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah when it comes to understanding differences of opinion and seeing how we deal with others when it comes to these differences of opinion. And oftentimes people, when they hear something from their sheikh, they assume that it's correct, and the sheikh will come with dalil. He'll come with evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah, and then if this student, he hears something that contradicts what his sheikh said, and his sheikh came with dalil. So when this other person comes and says something different, he thinks this person is going against the haqq, and that this person is on batil, and that this person is calling towards dalal. And this could be like a fiqh issue. Like recently, there was a discussion I was having about drop shipping with someone, and the response was basically the Prophet ﷺ said, "La tabi' ma laysa indak," and going against this is clear. It's a clear-cut issue, but it's like, okay, what about salam? What is salam? And is dropshipping salam? And so like this is the whole discussion. But the original response was very strong, as if I was going against the Prophet ﷺ. Like this is not something I would ever I would go against the Prophet ﷺ ever. But of course, if there's something that is an area of ijtihad, then this is a place where Ahl Sunnah has talked about. This is an area of differences of opinion. This is a place of ijtihad where there's no clear-cut text in this matter. There's no clear-cut qiyas. There's no ijma in this issue. If there's not this, then at the end of the day, this is an area where the scholars have differed upon it, and we don't do inkar on each other in this area. We can do nasiha, but we don't do inkar. And of course, the understanding the differences of like the different strengths of adillah is very important when it comes to understanding, is this a place for ijtihad or is this not a place for ijtihad? And from this comes like dalalat an-nas. This is a thing that is talked about in usul al-fiqh. And dalalat an-nas is not like we would say nusus, which is text. No, dalalat an-nas means that this meaning cannot take any other meaning except for one meaning. So an example of dalalat an-nas is وَمَا مِنْ إِلَهٍ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. So we have ma, which is like the nafiya, and min ilah. Like this min here is for like tansis and nafi of all things. Min ilahin illallah. And so then with ithbat of Allah, so there's nothing worthy of worship except Allah. This is of the forms of like the strongest forms of like we would say nas, dalalatun nas, or tilka ashratun kamila. And so like this comes into the ayah that's talking about فَصِيَامُ ثَلَاثَةِ أَيَّامٍ فِي الْحَجِّ وَسَبْعَةٍ إِذَا رَجَعْتُمْ. And so like تِلْكَ عَشْرَةٌ كَامِلَةٌ. So we have like, this is another example that is often used for dalalat an-nas. So we have the 3 days in Hajj, and then 7 days when you come back. And this is 10 days kamila. Like this is 10 days altogether. And so saying 10 days, this takes out the ihtimal that if you were to do it in Hajj, it's 3 days, and if you go back, then it's 7. So there's no way to go around this. It's very, very clear cut. And also a lot of the issues when it comes to mirath, a lot of these things are very clear cut as well. And if this issue is a clear cut issue, and not just because you have Quran or just because you have Sunnah, means that this is a clear cut issue. Like there's a difference between qat'i thubut, which is like that this thing is absolutely certain that the Prophet ﷺ said this, or that Allah said this in the Quran. This is qat'i thubut, but what does it mean? This is not always like the qat'i, like this, looking at the meaning of this is not always qat'i. They're like absolute, like it can't take multiple meanings. unless there's other adilla that come alongside of it. So if there's like ijma of the ummah, that they all come together and say this is the meaning of it, and then anyone who comes afterwards and tries to say this is a different meaning, okay, we throw that other meaning away and we keep the original meaning. And this is, in this case, it would be qat'i thubut, because we have ijma and the meaning of that. And so, or if you have different views, anyone coming up with a new view that contradicts the previous views, then they're thrown away because they're going against ijma. And so this understanding the differences of levels of opinion, like the differences of opinion, is very important. And also, even when coming into ijma, sometimes there will be someone who claims an ijma in a certain issue, but the ijma itself is narrated by a single individual, and there's also an ijma that's pointing against the same thing, like that's narrated by another single individual. So yes, we have ijma, but even ijma itself, even though it's a very strong evidence, this in and of itself can be a place where there's debate. What does the ijma actually mean? Sometimes the interpretation of the ijma itself is in question. So understanding the ijma in and of itself, this is something that there can be a level of ijtihad in this. And anywhere where there's ijtihad, this is a place where we agree to disagree if we're going to go into this. And if we ever have like a discussion or a niqash or like a debate in something in this, the goal of the debate is not to prove I'm right and my sheikh's right and your sheikh's wrong. And no. The goal of this debate is to get to the truth and to make sure the truth comes up. And of course, this is something that Imam Shafi'i talks about, that like when he debates somebody, he would rather see the haqq on the other person's tongue than to find himself just winning the debate. And like this is the goal, and of course that would make him more happy. And this should be the goal with every single person when they go into a discussion with somebody. Their goal should not be to prove I'm right. Their goal should be, let's find out what's the truth. And so this is very important when somebody has a discussion, that it's not some game going back and forth. Of course, looking into the adab al-bahth wal-munadhara, this is very important if a student even wants to talk about these things. And then there's another issue where a lot of times some of the students, they will come up and they'll do inkar on issues that are mukhtalif fi. Like they will do inkar, and they'll go up and get on somebody's case for something that they're doing, when this is a place where it's debated, highly debated, and it's not an issue. Like there's some things that are debated, such as like music. Like this is not a highly debated issue. This is the issue where you have one or two scholars way back when they said certain instruments are okay with certain conditions. And even this is, everyone like throws them out of the water, because this is like a huge thing that's very strange when somebody comes up with these things trying to make music halal. Of course, and so if somebody comes up with something that's super weak evidence, then in this case, yeah, there's a place for inkar. But if it's something that is, both sides have evidence, they're holding on to something, even if it's clear to the person and the person believes he's on the truth, we still leave this person to do his thing. We have we agree to disagree in this matter, and this is very important because this is something that tears apart the ummah, and it also gives the Salafi dawah a very, very bad name when all they see are people going up against each other and going hardcore about, are you going to move your finger into tashahhud or not? Are you going to go down on your knees or not? Where are you putting your hands? Or you put your hands on the side after you come up from ruku'. Like these are minor issues, and sometimes they make the biggest differences of opinion, and the person, when he goes into a debate with this person, he comes out upset. Of course, this is a very serious matter when this creates like a bughd between like the ummah and between people of the ummah. And sometimes you'll find people that will do major things when they have a certain opinion. Maybe they're holding on to their madhab's opinion. And just a quick example, I don't want to go too far on the examples because they'll never end. But one of them, I was a new Muslim, and I came up and I was told that we're supposed to put our feet next to the other person when they come into salah. So the ankle should be next to the other person's ankle, the feet to feet. So I came into a masjid, I didn't realize Hanafis have a different view on this. And so the Hanafi guy had his feet like this, and I put my feet out like this so I could reach his feet. So I reach his feet like here, and I put my feet over here, he goes like this. And then I was like, okay, I'm putting it here, and he goes like this. I put it here, he hits me. And we're in salah and whatnot, and the whole salah was like, my whole mind was just ruined through like the rest of the salah. I was just like, why did this guy just hit me, elbowed me really hard? And he's like, what are you playing footsies for? And I was like, okay, I don't, I was very, very perturbed. And of course, I'm not even like there, I'm a new Muslim, like I don't even know, I just know I heard the hadith that this is what they do, like you put your feet next to each other. And so like just to see this response, this is a very bad response. And also there's other responses from people that were that have gone very, very far. As soon as somebody has a different view, they go up against them as if they're refuted. And of course, this is another issue when somebody has I don't want to go too far into the many issues because we'll make separate videos for them, inshallah. And if you have ideas for videos, feel free, or like issues that you want to be addressed, feel free to write them in the comments. But of some of the things that people will do is they will have a rebuttal of a certain sheikh from another sheikh. They'll have this sheikh refuted so and so, and once the sheikh has been refuted, then this person is no longer like he's not even taken into account anymore. And of course, this is ridiculous, and I'll talk about that in another video, inshallah. But this is when we have these differences of opinion, we don't do inkar on them. And just to give you a point of reference, and this is not like me coming up with this from myself, but this is something that is well known in like the essence of usul and the usul, or like the foundational beliefs of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. When it comes to these areas of differences of opinion, then we don't do inkar on them, and we accept that there's differences of opinion, and everyone who does their ijtihad, they're there. So I want to share just a little passage from the Sharh of Imam Annawawi and Sharh Muslim, and that he is talking about the hadith that man ra'a munkar falyughayyirhu biyadihi. And so he talks about in his explanation of this hadith, he talks about many things, and this is in the Sharh Muslim by Imam Annawawi. He says here, after he talks about some of the meanings of this and whatnot, he talks about, and he says, ثم إنه إنما يأمر وينهى من كان عالما بما يأمر به وينهى عنه. He says, and then the only person who is allowed to do the amr bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar is someone who's alim, someone who's very knowledgeable or knows what he's talking about, and knows what he is ordering the people with and prohibiting them from. وذلك يختلف باختلاف الشيء. And this is different depending on the thing that is being talked about. And so, of course, some things are more apparent, and some things they're more subtle. And so then he says here, فإن كان من الواجبات الظاهرة والمحرمات المشهورة كالصلاة والصيام والزنا والخمر ونحوها كل المسلمين علماء بها. And so he says here, and if it's something that is, and if this thing is something from the wajibat, like from the wajibat that is apparent, everybody knows about it, or the muharramat that is very well known, kas salat, like salat, or fasting, zina, khamr, and things of this sort, then every single Muslim is, as here, فَكُلُّ الْمُسْلِمِينَ عُلُمَاء, and every single Muslim is alim, which means knowledgeable with this thing. And so like this is something that they all can do the inkar upon when these things that are very well known, that are very well known issues. وإن كان من دقائق الأفعال والأقوال ومما يتعلق بالاجتهاد لم يكن للأعوام مدخل فيه ولا لهم إنكاره بل ذلك للعلماء. And he says, and if it's from something that's connected with areas of, if this is something from like the daqaiq al-af'al wal-aqwal, this is something that's very like subtle, and it takes a lot of understanding and fiqh to know about this issue and know why this is stronger opinion or this is the weaker opinion, or if it's something of this sort, وَمِمَّا يَتَعَلَّقُ بِالْإِجْتِهَادِ, and anything that is connected or based on ijtihad, which is diving into the text and looking at the different texts and understanding the meaning from it and extracting that meaning from it. Lam yakun, he says here, then there's no place for lil awami madkhalun fihi. Then there's no place for the regular normal person to talk about this. This is something that there's no place for them. And he says here, wala lahum inkaruhu, and he says, and they're not allowed to do inkar here if this is from these areas of ijtihad. He says, but rather this is for the ulama, or the people that are knowledgeable in this thing. And so this is very important for people to understand that a lot of times someone will find a fatwa from Shaykh al-Albani, or they're from Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, or Shaykh ibn Baz, rahimahumullah. And so they'll take this fatwa, and all of a sudden they start doing inkar based on their fatwa that they've got from this person. And this is from the daqaiq al-ilm. Like, this is something that is settled. This is something that people have disagreed upon, and that's not straight up. And this is an area which isn't going against clear text from the Quran and the Sunnah. And so they will bring this and they start doing inkar based on the fatwa that they've heard from somebody, and oftentimes they won't even tell you who they heard this hukam from. But rather they'll just do inkar right away, and they won't even tell you, oh, so-and-so said this. And so it's not for them to do inkar. And it's not for the awam, which like the awam is the student of knowledge, just a beginner. It's not for him to do inkar on any of these issues. It's rather, he can only do nasiha in this. And then Imam Annawawi, he continues and he says, ثُمَّ الْعُلَمَاءُ إِنَّمَا يُنْكِرُونَ مَا أُجْمِعَ عَلَيْهِ. And so he says, and then the ulama, they only do inkar on that which is ujma', or like something that is agreed upon, alayhi. That's something that has consensus on, or something that is the difference of opinion in it is like a major mistake that everyone has, for the majority, has agreed upon. And this is something that Imam Annawawi is known about. Sometimes he'll say, as-sawab and hada khata. And some of these are very harsh terms, which means that the difference in opinion in here is not acceptable. And there's you'd say like the khilafu ghayru sa'iq. And so like there's some things, maybe it's not consensus per se, but it's really close. And this is what he means by that in there. He says, وَأَمَّا الْمُخْتَلَفُ فِيهِ فَلَا إِنْكَارَ فِيهِ. And so if there's something that is a difference of opinion, of course this is a difference that is respectable. And then there's no inkar in this. لأن على أحد المذهبين كل مجتهد مصيب. And then he says on one of the two views that is very well known in usul al-fiqh, that every single mujtahid is musib, like that they all get it right. And this is one of the views, and it's the weaker of the view. And وهذا هو المختار, and that's his view. And الكثيرين من المحققين, and this is the view that he leans towards. أو أكثرهم, of the people that he sees are the very strong people in that. وعلى المذهب الآخر المصيب واحد والمخطئ غير متعين لنا والإثم مرفوع عنه. And then on the other view is that one person is the person who got it right, and then and the other one got it wrong, if there's like two views and they did the ijtihad in. And then we don't know which one of them did that, but وَالْإِثْمُ مَرْفُوعٌ عَنْهُ, and that there's no itham on this person who did the ijtihad. Like the person who did the ijtihad, there's no itham on him, and he gets the reward. And this comes from the hadith that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِذَا اجْتَهَدَ الْحَاكِمُ فَأَصَابَ فَلَهُ أَجْرَانِ فَإِنْ أَخْطَأَ فَلَهُ أَجْرٌ وَاحِدٌ أو كما قال sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now he says if the hakim, or like the person who's looking for the ruling or getting making the ruling, if he does it ijtihad and he gets it right, then he gets 2 rewards. And if he gets it wrong, then he gets 1 reward. And of course he says إِذَا أَخْطَأَ. And so like this is someone who got it wrong. So even like the hadith points to the fact that one person got it right and the other person got it wrong. And so going back to what Imam Annawawi he says here, rahimahullah, he says, لكن إن ندبه على جهة النصيحة إلى الخروج من الخلاف فهو حسن محبوب مندوب إلى فعله. So he says, if somebody like calls someone, nadaba is like calling someone to it. If someone calls someone in the way of nasiha, of like advice, of like wanting the good for this person, which the essence of nasiha is wanting what's best for this person. And if he calls them to this in like the way of nasiha, to leave the differences of opinion, then this is good. Mahbub mandub ila fa'lihi. Then this is good. It's something that's great and it's loved to do. Birifq. He says birifqin. And that this needs to be with this needs to be done in a gentle manner. فإن العلماء متفقون على الحث على الخروج من الخلاف إذا لم يلزم منه إخلال بسنة أو وقوع في خلاف آخر. Then he goes into another thing. He says here, because the ulama are agreed upon calling people to leave the differences of opinion, as long as that doesn't put them into, as long as that doesn't take them away from doing something that is already established as sunnah, or takes them into a different difference of opinion. So if they go outside of one difference of an opinion and then they fall right in smack dab in another difference of opinion, then they didn't get out of the difference. So this is a whole something that would be talked about in like Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya, but this is what he talks about here, and this is very important for the students to be aware of. This is not a place for people like students or someone who's a new learner or someone who just loves his deen and he wants to call people to do what's right. It's not for him to go hardcore on people when he sees a fatwa about something that he believes is right, and then he goes at it and then he puts people in a hardship because he does inkar on them and actually gets on their case about this. The only thing that we can do is this: we can say Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, he gave a fatwa on this, and you leave it as you are the naqil. You are you bring the news from this person to that, and you leave it at that. Then you've done your job. You're not a mujtahid, or you're not an alim with this mas'ala, and you don't have all the understanding of the dalil and understanding where's the khilaf and that. So you leave it to the people who have that understanding, and it's not for anyone other than the ulama to make inkar here. And this is very important, and this is a mistake that so many of the Salafiyin have done from this, and they have given Salafiyya a bad name. And this is something I want to talk about this in different videos, and this is one of them. That, of course, like understanding where your place is, and understanding if you're not someone who has, if you're not an alim, like you're not an alim in this issue, then this is not for you to do inkar on. You can do nasiha, but you don't do inkar. And of course, it should never be something that you get up in people's faces about, or you get upset about it, or you say that they're not following the sunnah and whatnot. And of course, this is all something that goes against like the deen. And of course, no one makes the deen hard except that it will overcome them, as the Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith. And so this is very important, and I hope that this is a beneficial video. And if you have any comments, please feel free to put them at the bottom, or if you've had any experiences where you've had this, share some of the experiences if you think it's beneficial for people to see some of the light of what has happened when people go overboard with inkar. And I just gave a couple examples, but of course I could go on for years with the amount of examples of people going overboard with inkar, and this is something that is لا ينبغي. It's not appropriate. والله تعالى أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
فلذلك فادع واستقم كما أمرت ولا تتبع أهواءهم وقل آمنت بما أنزل الله من كتاب وأمرت لأعدل بينكم الله ربنا وربكم لنا أعمالنا ولكم أعمالكم لا حجة بيننا وبينكم الله يجمع بيننا وإليه المصير.